Well, the truth is, the ignorance of a victim is the strength of his victimizer, is the strength of the villain. So a lot of people don't know these things, but is expressly provided for. Section 120 of the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Rights Act provides that a consumer shall have the right to cancel any advance booking, any reservation, or order for any goods or services, subject to a reasonable charge for cancellation of the order or reservation by the supplier or service provider. Now, for the provision of this section, that's sub 2, a charge is unreasonable if it exceeds a fair amount in the circumstances. I had a client one time who paid 100 and something thousand for a vehicle, and then after he paid the money, he paid his first installment for a higher purchase, for all these services in town, taxi services. And then after he paid, they didn't supply him the vehicle for about 2-3 months. I had first-hand information because we met while we were both having orthopedic surgeries. So, and then he suffered a lot of loss due to that. And then after that, he said, okay, if you can't give me this vehicle, give me my money. Because they gave him different vehicles, and we'll get there. The law says if they give you something different, it's not just a thought, it's also an offense, and it's a breach of contract. It's written expressly in this act. So he said, let me have my money. They said, we'll give you 100,000. You will leave about 50-something thousand with us.
Why?
That's unreasonable. That's unreasonable. Of course, when we got in, they had to do the right thing. But this is what this law says. An unreasonable charge is one that, when you have regard to the circumstances, is unreasonable if it exceeds a fair amount, having regard to the nature of the goods or services that were reserved, booked, or ordered, the length of notice of cancellation provided by the consumer, the reasonable potential for the supplier or service provider acting diligently to find an alternative. So the person who is to find an alternative consumer is the service provider, not the customer.
Not the customer.
It's not his duty to say, some people say, oh yeah, if you're not paying for this land again. I've heard some people who are even talking on radio saying that if you're paying for land instrumentally to them, you can't ask for a refund. That's void. That's absolutely void. That's illegal and unconstitutional. That will fall flat in the face of this act. In fact, this act goes ahead to say that the provisions of this act superintend over any other law with regards to consumer protection and competition anywhere in Nigeria.